It begins with a serious event. Many cloaked and masked individuals surround a lady bound to a platform in the woods. They are performing a ritual. She struggles as they do it. After some of them perform a disturbing act, the lady wakes up from this nightmare. Her mother comes to comfort her. She is Gloria, who later appears at a group therapy session. While a certain member there talks about her negative experience with someone, another member, Joan, starts saying that forgiving someone for bad behavior is wrong. Revenge is the proper response. Joan goes on to say how God wasn't there for them when they were in considerable trouble. She tells the lady to be violent with the man who abused her. This prompts the group leader to disapprove of her statements. She also tells Joan to leave. From this short segment, we learn quite a lot about Joan. She is the kind of person who believes in punishment over reformation. Then we see Gloria working alongside Joan as a food server. Joan tells her she's not going back to group therapy. She got everything she wanted from it, which we learn is, in fact, Gloria. The next scene has them both lying in bed, where Gloria looks at the scars on Joan's back. We find out that her father gave her those scars. We also discover that Gloria was kidnapped 5 years ago. That nightmare she had about the ritual was probably not just a nightmare. The two ladies are lovers, who through their bad experiences in life, found each other. Joan tells Gloria that she would go through all the troubles in her life if she knew that going through them would reward her with Gloria. This is her strong love for her girlfriend. Shortly after, Joan gives her a present, a necklace meant to protect Gloria. We learn they have been together for 1 year. Later, the couple part ways outside. As Gloria walks near a trailer, she looks at its open door suspiciously. That is when a man comes to grab her from behind, to place her inside. In that process, the helpless lady drops her girlfriend's present. While the trailer rides, Gloria wakes up to find herself chained up in the back. She sees her cell phone, which she quietly reaches for. After doing so, she calls her mother, who is sleeping. Unfortunately, the driver notices her action and instantly puts his hand on the phone. But Gloria manages to scream for her mother, while the answering machine records it. Following that, the man applies more anesthesia on her. As he does it, she notices a burnt mark on his wrist. In the next scene, Joan arrives at work, asking her coworker about Gloria's whereabouts. He tells her she's not there yet. We see where she is. The man who kidnapped her carries her into a cabin in the woods. Inside, he chains her to a wall. Gloria has a dream where she wakes up on an altar, covered in blood. She gets up to freely walk away from it. Then she wakes up in the cabin. The kidnapper comes to her to offer her a drink. He makes her drink some of it. Gloria tells him she knows he's one of them. We don't know who she's talking about. He tells her that tomorrow they won't need her anymore. It seems like there is more than just him. Soon Gloria gets a nosebleed, but the man tends to her. As he does, we see he has a burn on the side of his face, plus his eye is discolored. Gloria spits blood on him in response. She wants to know why he's doing this. Surprisingly, he gives the answer that she needs to be saved. Afterward, Joan calls Gloria's mom, Ruth, to learn where Gloria is. They both learn that she's neither at the shelter nor at home. This makes Ruth listen to the message Gloria left her. Subsequently, an officer stands in her home, along with Joan. He says the message does not give enough clarity as to what is going on. Joan, being forceful, gives him an attitude toward his incompetence. He responds that they will scan the area, but Joan says she will find Gloria herself before walking away. At the church, she gathers a meeting of members to help find her girlfriend. Back at the cabin, Gloria demands to know why the man came back for her. His answer begins with him saying the first time he saw her, he thought she was an angel. We see him as a cultist as he says this. He also reveals that the night of the was supposed to be his last night alive. Though when she looked at him, he knew all his doubts were real. He realized he was born into a lie, while the others he faked his demise to run away. To all that, Gloria questions why she is here if that is true. He's doing this to save her life, is what the man says. After that, Joan talks to Ruth on the phone, who informs her that Joan's necklace was found on the ground. Once the call is ended, Joan displays her fierce frustration. Next, the kidnapper enters his cabin to witness that Gloria is not in her bound area. She stands behind him with flowers. She then starts seducing him. At that moment, he comes to his senses to see she is in her bound area, suffering. Blood comes out of her mouth, forcing the man to tend to her. Following that, Joan arrives at a man's house to ask about Gloria. Due to telling her he can't help, she holds a knife to his neck and forces him to look at the missing person poster she made. He becomes more compliant, softly telling her he has not seen her. With that interaction, we learn that Joan is more than just tough, she is highly unstable. Back at the cabin, a robed figure starts coming toward Gloria. He walks while uttering incomprehensible statements. When he grabs her, Gloria's hallucination ends. The robed individual is now the kidnapper. She tells him that whatever he's doing, he should just do it. He replies that he already is. According to him, this will all be over once the sun rises. He also says he was never like the other cultists. The next scene has Joan coming back to Ruth's house to speak to the policeman from before. He shows her the necklace she gave to Gloria. Not surprisingly, he soon starts talking about the threat she performed to the man. Since he tells her to come with him, she gives him her unstable attitude. However, it becomes something much worse than that. She wounds him severely with a knife, followed by taking his life away. Her next action is her coming to Ruth, demanding that she tell her where Gloria is. She thinks Ruth is keeping her away from Joan because she doesn't want them to be together. Shockingly, Joan takes the life of her girlfriend's mother too. Now we see even more into her identity. She is a careless criminal who only cares for her partner. At the cabin, the kidnapper tells Gloria his name is Thomas. She wants to know what happened on the night she was part of the ritual. Thomas tells her that night, which was 5 years ago, was when the locust moon rose. The cultists believed their lord was received at that time. On the next locust moon, their lord would be reborn. That moment is tonight. Thomas continues by saying the cultists thought their lord was inside of her, and in the past 5 years, he was growing. Tonight they would have her to bring him into the world. But Thomas is trying to save her. As they talk, we see Joan uncovering a secret passageway. She walks through it, to soon kneel before a menacing idol, telling it that she has failed him. She prays for him to help her find Gloria, so she could bring him into this world. Afterward, she takes off her shirt to apply a whip against her back. That is how she got her scars. The story she put forth about her father giving them to her is a major lie. At this point, we come to understand why her behavior was so violent. The lady never did it out of love for Gloria. She is a vehement servant who desperately wants Gloria. After that, Thomas tells Gloria the lord of the cultists is named Abaddon. He is the angel of destruction. Shortly after, she hallucinates a demon behind Thomas. He is very likely the one of which Thomas speaks. Later, he comes to Gloria and sees 2 holes in her back, though he doesn't let her know. He goes to look at a picture of Abaddon, causing him to feel uneasy. Somehow Gloria comes to him to say she is scared. How did she manage to escape her chains? She starts kissing him while asking if he loves her. The man says he just wants to help her. Telling him she wants to feel safe, she starts engaging in intimacy with him. As they engage, we see that Gloria's holes are now bumps. Soon enough, she transforms into a demon, scaring Thomas off his chair. However, it was all an illusion. He looks back to see the lady is still bound. Then he relocates her to a bed. There she questions, what if all of this is true? He doesn't want to believe it, so he firmly says it's not. At the church, Joan's friend, Kent, comes to her with some news. He introduces a man who has some information about Gloria's disappearance. The man describes the trailer that was parked near Gloria's house that night. He also describes the man inside it. Kent adds the direction he was driving in. Following that, Gloria says she needs Joan, but Thomas says she needs to stay away from her. This creates anger and confusion in her. He says that Joan is the reason why Gloria is here. She's also the one who gave him his scars. To that, Gloria says that he's lying because Joan loves her. Yet Thomas keeps throwing what he knows at her, saying Joan was there when Gloria was kidnapped. Joan found her to stay close to her. He also mentions Joan's scars, after which he presents similar ones on his body. She inflicted her scars on herself, he informs Gloria. Furthermore, he calls her by another name, Gwendolyn. His final statement is that she is his sister. To all this information, Gloria shows sorrowful disbelief. If all of this is true, what would it mean for her? She has spent the past year of her life in a loving relationship with Joan. Now some stranger tells her that it was all a charade. Not only is she feeling immensely sick, but now she has to somehow confront this tragic lie. Then the bell outside the cabin rings, making Thomas go out there. While he's out, the chain on Gloria's wall gets undone. She becomes free and looks at many pictures on the wall pertaining to the cult. Shortly after, she looks into a corner to see the demon. It scares her to the point of making her escape from the window. She runs into the woods, where Thomas catches her. She tells him he was in the cabin. She does not say the demon, she just says he. As she says this, Thomas notices her hair is falling out. Together, they cautiously return to the cabin, with Thomas holding a shotgun. He goes into the room with the pictures to find nothing there. Upon returning to Gloria, he observes that much of her hair has fallen out. Yet even more worrisome is that she now has limbs on her back that should support wings. It seems like there truly is a demon inside her. Seeing this becomes overwhelming for Thomas. He realizes it was true after all. He even says that the demon has her. As Kent rides with Joan, they eventually arrive near Thomas's trailer. He starts looking inside from its windows, while Joan calls someone on her phone. Kent sees a cell phone inside, which lights up with Joan's picture, indicating that Gloria is nearby. At that moment, Joan stabs Kent. As the moon comes closer to being full, Gloria becomes sicker. Thomas points his shotgun at her, but she yells that he promised her until sunrise. Once the sick lady screams in fear, Thomas can't bring himself to shoot her. When he turns around, the demon within Gloria states that upon rising, he will take Thomas's soul first. This makes him turn around with anger to ask what she just said. She claims that she said nothing, so he turns around again and instantly experiences a hallucination. 2 white-cloaked individuals slam him down. The moment they do, the setting changes completely. Joan is there to say they want him to join them in the afterlife. This was the time he received his burnt face, because Joan approaches the bound man with a flaming torch. After she gifts him with fire, he crawls away in pain. The environment changes back to the dark woods, where the current Joan finds him. She welcomes him back before kicking him. The next scene has Gloria sitting on a chair over a pentagram, surrounded by dozens of lit candles. Joan appears to finally meet her. Gloria asks to be freed, but her girlfriend tells her it's best if she stays restrained. Those unsettling words must bring considerable mental damage to the possessed lady. Joan also confirms that Thomas is indeed her brother. Then she shows Gloria a dagger she brought. She didn't want Gloria to burn. However, she says she will. Joan's next move is to reunite Gloria with the necklace she got for her. Gloria replies that she hates her. Afterward, Thomas wakes up in the cabin after being knocked out. He looks through a hole in the wall to see his sister. He tells her to stop all of this. She responds that he lived in doubt, but now he sees it's all real. Shortly after, Gloria sees Joan standing with all her cultists. She starts reciting an incantation, while Thomas tries to break free from the other room. After escaping from the window, he uses an axe to break through the front door. When he does, the setting changes again. He appears in a field where a healthy Gloria comes to him. She calls him her love, yet he doesn't believe this illusion. He must repent to be saved, is what she tells him. Noticing she possesses the same burnt mark on her wrist as he does, Thomas pushes her away. Then he swings his axe at her. Once he does, the setting reverts to the cabin, and Joan is who he injures instead. This causes the demon within Gloria to push him back, in addition to chaining him to the wall. Soon he perceives the cultist standing there, as Gloria did. After that, Abaddon makes his menacing entrance into the cabin. At that point, Thomas breaks his chain with a shovel. He goes to slam Joan with it, distorting the entire scene. After a while, Thomas wakes up to observe that his sister has left this world. He comes to Gloria, who is unconscious, caring for her. The man removes her from the chair and carries her away from the cabin. He sits outside while holding Gloria in his arms, waiting for the sunrise he promised her. We see it wasn't Joan who loved Gloria, it was this man. Fortunately, she wakes up. He's glad she's alive. However, she says the awful news that she told him she would take his soul first. So she pushes him down to tell him he will burn for eternity. Gloria wasn't saved. The demon continues to exist. Then she stands to prove it by sprouting demon wings, while lightning flashes in the sky.